It's a beautiful day. It's spring. It's 68 to 73 degrees American. I don't have my precision down to the exact American unit. That is the benefit of the European system of measuring temperature. You could say, oh, it's 17, and it gives you a broader range. You can be more accurate when you're less precise. You remember that from 6th grade? Shout out to Mr. Salerno. Mr. Salerno, that was my 6th grade science teacher. The J.G. Pine Arts Magnet School in Lowell, Massachusetts, putting in the work. But today, we are going to go through 5 things you can do to crush your next speed workout. Now, all these things fall under one category. So if there's one takeaway that you have from this video, it is set the conditions for success. The entire point of training, if you're training for a marathon, a 5K, a half marathon, an ultra, a jingle jog, a fun run, whatever it is, the entire point of it is not to teach your body to endure pain. It's to give yourself more confidence, to build your body's confidence, your mental confidence, to hit paces. That is the entire point of training. And yes, we want to stress our bodies. We want to do hard things so that we adapt to it. But so much of it is building the consistency, building the routine, in building the confidence by hitting these paces. So we set the conditions for success. We want to make things as easy as possible to hit our paces and to run workouts as they are prescribed on paper. That's the point of training. It's not to wake up at 3:30 a.m. in the darkness and purposely make things as hard as possible. Unless you're running an ultra marathon, actually, and you're going to be running at night, that might be a good time to add in some more difficulty. But even with that, we want to allow ourselves to endure whatever stress our body can by making it easier. If our body is going to be stressed, we want to reduce stress, eliminate distractions, set the conditions for success so that we can push ourselves physically. We don't want to be stressed mentally. So with that, actually, before we get into it, I do want to say big shout out to everybody on the Supple app who is training for their races this weekend. I'll throw it up right here. There was so many people, I can't even name them. People did roundups of all these people who ran races, but we had the LA Marathon, we had the Tobacco Road Marathon, the NYC Half, and then a bunch of other races around the country. So shout out to everyone on the Supple app putting in work. If you are looking for a new community, if you're looking for a supportive place to be, or you're looking for the best deals on running shoes, make sure you're on the Supple app. It's my app. I put blood, sweat, and mileage into making it the best place for hobby joggers to be. We got deals, we got a good community, and we got a bunch of sickos getting after it. What more could you want? Oh, and we have the discount codes to Running Warehouse. But all right, let's get into it. First thing, I'm gonna give you 5 tips, 5 rules there. First thing, I'm calling this the 48-hour rule. To crush your next speed workout, do not do any other hard workouts or hard runs within the 48 hours leading up into that effort. This is something that I've implemented. So if we look at this workout I did here yesterday, I did 22 miles on the treadmill with 16 of those at a marathon pace, 2:30 marathon pace or faster. 2 of those were at a threshold effort. That is a really hard workout, and as I've gotten faster and as I've developed my consistency with the long runs to improve my marathon time, my biggest workouts are now in the long run. They're together. For a long time, and for most people out there, your biggest workouts likely won't be in your long runs. They'll be in the middle of the week. But regardless, the long run is typically when I'm in peak marathon training, which I'm entering again right now. Long run is my biggest workout. I don't do any other hard workouts, hard efforts, the trailing 48 hours. I do my long run every week on Sunday. Unless I'm traveling, I'll move it, but pretty consistently, 95% of the time, every week on Sunday. Saturday is always my lowest mileage day. Unless I decide to take a day off, which I do every few months, Saturday, I'm almost always going 4 miles. That's it. 4 miles. Sometimes I'll have the stroller, which does add some stress, but a 30-minute recovery run when I'm used to running 10 to 14 miles. For example, today, after that hard workout I did yesterday, I could feel my legs are completely blasted. I still went 14 miles. I went 10 in the morning, and then lunch break, I did another 4. So doing a 4-mile recovery run on Saturday before my long run, that allows the body to recover. That means I'm not carrying in excess stress into that workout. And it means I'm not depleting my glycogen stores. So if you're doing a shorter 30, 45-minute workout, you're not going to be dipping into the tank and completely depleting all the carbs you need to run at the end of a longer effort. But still, going into a workout under-fueled or without any carbs in your muscles isn't a good idea. And it's also just every time you do a harder effort, you are literally damaging your body. You're putting micro tears. You're tearing your muscle fibers anytime you do a harder effort. And that's what a marathon is too. And studies have shown that people can have damage, legit muscle damage for a few months, especially if they're not well trained. And that's why the more marathons you do and the better you get at the skill of running fast and training, the quicker that recovery will be. Point being here, you don't want to do anything hard within the 48 hours leading up into it because your body needs time to recover between each session, and you want to come into that workout as fresh as possible. Now, there is a principle in marathon training called cumulative fatigue. What does that mean? Cumulative. We add things up. Fatigue, fatigué in French, it means tired. We add a lot of work and it makes us tired, and pushing through all of that work that's added up and making us tired can make us even stronger. The Hansons are one of the pioneers of the cumulative fatigue method. And if you want to get a fast marathon time, it is necessary to have some cumulative fatigue. However, what's more important than cumulative fatigue is actually hitting the workouts as prescribed. And if you're going into these workouts overcooked, say you're training for a sub-3 marathon, you got to run 6:52 pace, you're coming into that long run workout, you have 10 miles at marathon pace, you're coming into that workout doing 10 miles yesterday and 13 miles the day before, you're already tired, you're already dragging after that 4-mile warm-up, you're only able to hit an 8:50 pace on your warm-up, you try to hit that marathon pace and you're hitting 7:23, feeling like trash. You still do get some benefit, but again, think about the confidence of hitting that workout. So it's gonna vary. Different seasons are gonna require different levels of cumulative fatigue, but my principle is biggest workout of the week, I pick one. Again, peak marathon training, that's the long run. I don't do anything within the 48 hours. Friday will be a 10 to 12 mile run. Sometimes I'll double, do a 14 or 16 mile double, but Saturday, always 4-mile recovery run. So that's number one. Within the 48 hours leading up into it, don't put your body through a lot of stress. That also means don't go out drinking hard on Friday night if you have your long run on Saturday or your workout on Saturday. I feel like that should go without saying. And I don't personally drink because I'm in a phase of my life right now where I'm trying to get the most out of my running. I'm trying to squeeze all the juice. My age right now too, I'm reaching the peak age for athletic performance. So I'm trying to get everything out. I don't have anything against drinking, but if you're trying to train for a marathon or get the most out of yourself, again, it's just an added stress with the alcohol. So it's fine if you're drinking throughout the week sparingly, but just don't do it the night before a big workout. That's an easy way to eliminate distractions, eliminate excess stress on the body. So that's number one, 48-hour rule. Number two, and this dovetails nicely with number one. It almost goes against it, but pacing. Set the conditions for success. Earlier on in the block, allow yourself to go 10 to 15 seconds per mile slower on your workouts. This is a big one. So if you're training for a marathon, again, if you're trying to train for a sub-3 marathon, you're 16 weeks out, allow yourself to go 7 minutes per mile on those marathon pace sessions. The farther away from the race we are, the less conditioned our body is going to be for that pace. And this is from the VDOT system, from Jack Daniels. This is what Jack Daniels, one of the most respected elite marathon coaches of all time, suggests. Hold on, I hear that. I can feel the allergies coming on. I need to get on that. A bunch of people last week recommended the local honey regime. I was not able to get on the local honey regime yet. So I'm out here in freshly cut fescue. It's all coming up. But VDOT system is how I train. It will tell you, okay, so when I was training last year for the marathon, my best race PR was a 1:19:28 half marathon. That translated to I don't remember off the top of my head, 58 or 59 VDOT. Plug that into the table in the Jack Daniels book, and that will tell me, okay, this is your goal marathon pace, or what you're capable of training for at the marathon right now. This is what your threshold pace would be. Another way to do it is, right now I want to train, or I want to run a 2:30 marathon. So I look at the VDOT, I think it's a 66 or 67 VDOT, but then I go 2 steps below that, go down to the 64, and that will say, okay, right now, 12 weeks out from the marathon, you don't need to be running 5:43 pace in your marathon workouts. You could be running closer to a 5:55 pace in your marathon workouts. This is especially key if you're doing longer marathon style workouts. make it easier on the body as you're farther out. And if you're running a lot of threshold workouts too, or faster than race pace workouts, you're still going to be getting that stress that's closer in to marathon pace. Point being here, setting the conditions for success. To put it in the simplest way possible, we don't want to be going into every workout, dipping in the tank, feeling like it's so hard. We're going in the pain cave. We're taking every last ounce of effort to hit our paces. It's okay if we slow it down. A lot of the best athletes, Meb, one of the best marathon runners of all time, he would consistently run workouts below his capability level, but this is the key thing, consistently. Consistent, moderately high mileage, consistent, moderately challenging workouts. That's what gets us stronger. There's not going to be one key workout. So even yesterday, I did this, and occasionally dipping into the tank is good, but I did this workout dipping in the tank, and I can feel today, my legs are pretty smashed from doing that workout. So running these workouts slightly slower than we likely want to will allow for faster recovery and will allow us to stack them on top of each other. And man, when I did the speed block earlier this year, I was running these workouts at 5 flat pace. All these 200, 400, and 800 meter repeats, and the recovery was really challenging. So taking it down, toward the middle of that block, I was only able to do one of those workouts per week versus 2. So taking the intensity down will allow for a higher volume of work. It will allow for that recovery to be better, and it will allow for the frequency to be up. So there's different levers, but earlier on in the block, allow yourself to run 10 to 15 seconds per mile slower than you need to, and you can always increase your pace toward the end of a run. Right? So if you're, again, think about that 6:52 per mile marathon pace. If you're training for sub 3, you can always run the first 6 miles at a 7 flat and then crush the last 4 at a 6:50, even burn the last one at a 6:33 if you're feeling really good. That's a great way to do it. The inverse is not what you want. You start out of the gates at a 6:52, 6:48, and then you end up slowing down to a 7:05 or a 7:15 at the end. Charlie's coming down the hill. Just takes me out of my zone. I can't be in hobby jogger savant mode with just, hey. She said I look cute. Yeah, that was pacing. Number 3. Actually, last thing, as we get closer to the race, start nailing that race pace. I have a ton of videos on this, but especially if you're training for the marathon, you want to feel like that pace is just hammered into your system. But the farther you are out, especially if you're having a hard time crushing your speed workouts, bring it down 10 to 15 seconds per mile, whether it's 5K pace, whether you're doing whatever the style of workout is, just do the minute per mile calculation and just bring it down 10 to 15 seconds per mile or a few seconds per kilometer. All right. Number 3, environment. We want to eliminate distractions and challenges in the environment. The biggest thing here is you want a flat, easy to run in place with very minimal car traffic. It sounds simple, but it's not. For a lot of us who live out here in the suburbs or a city, we have busy lives. We can't always make it to a track. Also, there's a few tracks here in Charlotte. I don't like going to the track. The only time I did it when I was at business school at Duke, there was a track there and a friend invited me, so I did it once. But find a place in your neighborhood or a park where you can really run without worrying about anything else. Again, it's one of those mental things where even if I'm out here in the neighborhood doing sprints, I can go fast, but I can't go as fast as I can when I'm up at Harrisburg Park, that oval where I go sometimes with Cam, because there's no distractions there. I'm not worried about a car at all. It's completely flat and closed off. There's some pedestrians there, but it's not like out here where I still have to be on my game. There could be cars backing up. It's just a different thing. So go find some place that's completely flat or as close to it as possible. And also, going back to point number 3 here, if I'm out here in the neighborhood running my tempo over the hills and through the woods to grandmother's house with all the car traffic and the twists and the turns, the pace conversion is going to be better than what it shows. If I'm running a 5:50 per mile tempo out here, that means on race day I could run that pace for 5:43 or 5:44 because I'm losing some seconds per mile out here. So again, it goes with the point number 2. You have to set the conditions for success. And if you're running in more challenging conditions, if you are having to dodge traffic or a lot of pedestrians, or dogs, whatever it is, make sure you're not beating yourself up about the pace too much. But I would advise find a flat area, and if you're doing shorter 400 meter and below, repeats flat and straight. I have some good flat and straight areas here. It's just hard to generate the speed, and especially when you're working on the development of speed mechanics, which is the point of doing any 800 meter and below repeats, you want to be able to run powerfully and smooth. When I'm going up hills, down hills, turning a lot, I can't get the same mechanics going. It's annoying to say it very simply. It's annoying to try to run twisting and turning at a 400 meter repeat pace, which for me is 440. And I can't. I look at the watch as I'm banging a corner and my watch is saying, oh, you're at a 525 pace, when I know the effort feels more like 440. And here's the thing. The races are going to be run on the roads, and that's why I really like running my tempos and my marathon pace workouts on the roads, and I don't worry about it as much. But as we are going to the shorter distances, that's where I just want to set the conditions for success and be able to develop the speed mechanics. So you always have to think about, what is the goal of this workout? And this is what I advise too, don't run any workouts if you don't understand their goal. Even if you're following Blanca and they're saying do a 6.7, this is one thing I don't get about Blanca. It gives people like 6.7 mile long run. It doesn't make any sense to me. But even if you're following Blanca or any other automated AI, only AI I know is aerobic intensity. If you're following anything and is giving you a workout, make sure you understand the purpose, because that will help you run the workout better. If the purpose of the workout is to practice race pace, then you will want to find a place that's more similar to your race conditions. If you're running the Boston Marathon, find a hillier place. If you're running Chicago, try to find a flat place. If you know it's going to be some off-road terrain, find a place with gravel to practice that race pace. But any of those shorter workouts, flat and straight. And especially if you're having a hard time hitting your paces, this is the thing. Setting those conditions for success, make it as easy as possible. Find a flat straight. If it's raining outside and you know you have a tough workout, just do it on the gosh dang treadmill. And this is the other thing. People always ask me, what incline do you set the treadmill at? 0. I get enough elevation out here. If I'm doing a treadmill workout, I take that as an opportunity to build some extra confidence and to hit some paces and to see some splits on the watch that maybe I wouldn't see out on the roads. So that next time I do go out on the roads, I can say, oh man, and this actually happened 2 weeks ago in the Adidas Boston 13. I hit a nice tempo on the treadmill, 8 miles at a 5:39 pace. And then guess what? I came out the following week, which was last week, and ran that same 8 miles at that same pace on the roads, which I'd never done before. And that ended up being a 5K PR and a 10K PR. So if it's windy and rainy like it was yesterday, just go to the treadmill. You don't need to be a hero. Unless, you know, on race day, it can be like that and you're not comfortable running in those conditions. So there are times where you're going to want to pick and choose your spot, but 90% of the time, I say make it as easy as possible on yourself. All right. Number 4, shoes. Let's talk about the shoes. I know people are going to want to talk about the shoes. This is I don't want to say it's a shoe channel, but I talk a lot about shoes. Run in a shoe that's fast. You don't have to run in a Carbon County race shoe for all your workouts, but I'll just tell you what I do, and I personally do run in race shoes or speed training shoes for all my workouts. This is the one that I recommend for most people right now for a race shoe. It is the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 3. It's a complete banger. It's got a really nice version of race foam in here on the firmer side, but once you activate it, break it in, get it going, it's super bouncy. Now, a lot of the elite athletes, they're also running their workouts in race shoes. Why is that? It's not just because of the speed assistance benefits. It's also because these have higher stacks of foam, they're more cushioned, and anecdotally, a lot of elites are citing better recovery from running the workouts in the race shoes. You're gonna have to find out what works for you, and also if you're only used to running in a regular daily trainer and then you switch into this, you just want to be careful that you're not giving yourself false confidence in running outside of your capabilities. Because that's what could be dangerous about these shoes. It's not just, oh, your body isn't used to the stress and it's going to put an excess wear on your Achilles. It can also be, oh, I put on this race shoe, now I feel that I can hit 6:30s for 5 miles when before I've only ever hit 7:10s for 5 miles. That's what it can be dangerous, overreaching. And I've noticed the treadmill can make me do this too. That's the downside of the treadmill, and not just having it be physically easier to hit those paces on the treadmill, but the fact that I have to go press the down speed button. Whereas on the roads, if I get tired, my pace will naturally start slipping as I lose focus. On the treadmill, I'm not gonna, knock on wood, that's metal, but I'm not gonna fly off the back of the treadmill when I start losing focus, right? You're locked into a certain pace, and unless I touch the down button, which if you're a demented sicko like I am, there's no gosh dang way I'm gonna turn my pace down. That allows me to dig deeper and to put myself more into the pain cave. I can bury myself farther on the treadmill than I can on the road. That can be the danger of these shoes too. You get going in them, you just bury yourself and you're digging deeper than you maybe would have in a normal training shoe. But when used responsibly, like anything else, right? Life is about being a sicko in some areas and having moderation in others, and be a sicko with the mileage, be moderate with the Carbon County shoes when you're going out there. Don't run outside your capability level. And if you're doing that 10 to 15 seconds per mile slower, that's a great way to make sure you're not overreaching with the first few times. But all that is to say, for workouts, run in something that you're comfortable in and confident in, and that's gonna help you run fast and hit your splits. I talked about this so much during the Chicago build because I was starting to run. That's when I switched to running all my workouts in the race shoes. That's what's gonna help me run the fastest and hit the splits. And the whole point of training is to run fast and hit the splits and to feel confident. So I'm gonna choose the footwear that does that. So that's my philosophy on it. It doesn't have to be the race shoe. Choose whatever shoe is gonna work well for you, but you want something that you're comfortable in and that will help you run fast and make you feel prepared for race day. All right, last one here. This is one of my favorite topics recently. Number 5, fueling. So think about that 48-hour rule where I was saying you don't want to run any workouts, harder workouts than the 48 hours leading up into your hard effort, whether that's a long run or a midweek workout. The same thing goes for the fueling. 48-hour rule, do not be hungry within the 48 hours leading up into your workout, and please do not run your workout fasted. If you want to take your training seriously, and when I say training, that means doing structured workouts on a planned timeline to hit a predefined goal. That's what training is. You can run and have fun with it and not have a goal and run fasted and have great runs. When I did the fueling video on Saturday, someone actually had great feedback. They said, man, I don't ever want to run a marathon because I like doing my runs fasted. And that's great. We should all do the pursuit with running that makes the most sense to us and is enjoyable to us. If getting out there and doing fasted runs and being fit is what makes you happy, then do that. But if you are training for a race, especially if you don't have decades of aerobic strength built up, doing your workouts well fueled, which means having the appropriate number of carbs 48 hours before, it means not doing it fasted, having something the morning of, especially for longer efforts, and then intra-flight fueling on any workouts longer than 90 minutes or even shorter for some people. But doing those 3 things, that's what's going to set the conditions for success for most people. Now, this is the thing that drives me crazy. I'm going to have to, this drives me crazy. So there's this thought, oh, elites do this. Some of the things that elites do, like the shoes, we can't copy because it makes sense for everyone. Other things like, oh, these elites do workouts fasted, so I'm gonna do workouts fasted. Oh, when Des Linden won the Boston Marathon, she only did one 20-mile long run. Oh, I see this middle distance runner cutting his mileage and he's running faster, so that means I should do that. What you have to remember is that most elites, if not all elites, I'll go out on a limb and say this, all elites, 99% of elites you see competing at a high level has been running for 10 plus years. I've only been running for 5 years. for us hobby joggers, we still have a lot of aerobic gains to be made. Unless you've been running 70, 80 plus miles per week for 7 plus years, you still have aerobic gains to be made. You can still teach your body to be more efficient at burning fat versus carbs. You can still teach your body to be more efficient at using oxygen. So that's the entire point of fueling well. During these workouts, we're going to be burning a lot of carbs, and fueling well replenishes them. And starting off a workout, even if it's shorter, with our glycogen full, means we can push harder. And this is the other thing, I just plain feel better. My mood is better when I'm well fueled with carbs. Man, Charlie sometimes will see me. We have this joke, emergency pancakes, because she'll see me at night and she'll say, bro. She doesn't call me bro. What will she say? She has one nickname for me. It's too embarrassing. It's not weird or anything. I'm just not gonna say it on the show. She'll say, dude, I can tell you're underfueled, because I'll have this look. And some days I'll just be complaining, oh this, oh that, oh that. And she'll say, have you eaten enough today? No, I haven't. So the carbs can influence the mood. The mood can influence our outlook on the workout. And then our outlook on the workout can influence our performance on the workout. So everything is connected, and you have to think of this as a system. And it's not just about, oh, I'm gonna go do this workout with glycogen depletion to maximize my aerobic gains. Again, unless you've been training 20 plus mile long runs for multiple years, nearly every weekend, doing these slight optimizations isn't gonna help. Now, some people do train underfueled all the time. I guarantee you, if you start fueling your workouts properly, you're gonna be able to run harder. It's just fact. Carb intake is not marketing. Proper carb intake and proper fueling is probably one of the only things, other than consistent mileage over time, that all the literature agrees on that can help support your endurance performance. You want to run a lot of miles. You want to run a lot of miles close to race pace as you get closer into that race pace. And then for longer workouts, 90 minutes, 2 hours plus, you want to be replenishing carbs. Those are really the three simple things you need to do to get faster. But point being, man, you want to keep your mood up. You want to keep your body well fueled. You want to feel strong and powerful. And fueling can do that. So don't be hungry in the few days leading up into it. Try to get 60+% of your calories from carbs. Find a diet system that works for you. And then, especially on the long runs, I just did the long run fueling video the other day, but every 30 minutes, make sure you're taking in some sort of carb source. It can help a lot. That's N equals 1, and when N equals 1, people say that, they mean I'm an experiment of 1. So anecdotally, I can tell you it helps a lot, and all the research says it helps a lot. So there you go. I feel like I'm fired up now, but those are the 5 things that you can do to crush your next speed workout. Of course, sleep is going to help too. There's other things that I didn't talk about. The fundamentals, sleep, of course. Also, getting in consistent mileage over time, being more consistent with workouts are going to make them feel easier. But set the conditions for success. Just remember that. That's the framework you have to have. How can I set myself up for success on this workout? I want to make it as easy as possible, not as hard as possible. Training is about making... Man, I didn't realize I was going to be yapping this much today. Shut up. But training is about making it as easy as possible for us to run those speeds so we can show up confident on race day. All right, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this, make sure you are on the Supwell app, because it's the best place out there for people who want to get better every day. Just believe me, get in there. It's the hobby jogger community. It was so cool seeing everyone post their races. I'll be back tomorrow with another video.